and Thunder. I'm joined here by April Matt, and my name is Spicy, and we will be your comms today. We will get started in a moment. Yeah, so we're just waiting right now for the timer cropping and the audio to get done for the runners, and then we'll send them off. So as we wait for everything to get sorted out, we can talk a little bit about the racers. Wasabi Knight and Thunder. Believe they're both pretty comparable in times. I'm pulling that up right now just to double check. Yeah. Wasabi has a PB at 58:58, and Thunder has a PB at 1 hour and 3 minutes. So these should be pretty close race.
Actually, I think Thunder recently. Sub hour. Lawrence says that Thunder just PB today with a sub hour. That's impressive.
That is very interesting to hear. Yeah, I'd expect a really close race then.
Yeah, same. Barring slip-ups, which can happen in any race, of course. Oh, 59:48. That means they are less than a minute apart now. That's really nice. Am I quiet?
Oh no, your audio sounds fine.
Lawrence says the other person is very quiet. I'm assuming that he means me. So if that's the case,
you can't.
I can turn myself up a bit if that's better. Is this?
I might be able to adjust the volume for you. Hold on.
Okay. Then is this better? I turned myself up quite a bit.
Oh, now it's really loud.
All right, thanks. Okay, that's good. Also, just curious, is the audio from the restream on our end supposed to come back at some point?
Yeah, we'll get it in a moment.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, we're just trying to get some cropping sorted out here. It should be fixed in a moment. Alrighty. It looks like we are just about ready to go here. We will contact the runners and see if they are ready to start and then count them down. All right, it looks like the runners are ready. We count them down and they will be off in a moment.
And they are off.
We, of course, have a little bit of stream delay. They will click start in just a moment. April, you're getting a little bit of feedback. If you could turn your gain down just a little bit.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Is that better?
We still got a little bit, but it should be okay.
That's strange. I have headphones on. I'm hearing almost nothing, so...
All right, Wasabi is dropping in right now.
And
So is Thunder. These will be synced up in a little bit, hopefully. Let's see, the standard canes pass from both runners here, just as we have in all the other races in this tournament. There's obviously not too much room for differentiation at the start of this game. Being a Metroidvania, it kind of opens up after you get your first couple abilities. So most of the movement here is going to be pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and it's all about small optimizations.
Thundar got a bit of a rough start with the Windfly RNG, not really being in his favor, but it looks like they're only going to be about 8 seconds apart coming out of King's Pass, so anything can still happen.
Yeah, most of the main like time differentiation won't begin to happen until the runners pick up dash and claw and some of the other movement abilities, and that's where you really see runners' skills and game knowledge start to make a big difference in their times in different rooms.
And Wasabi getting a clean Gruzza drop. Let's hope Thunder gets it as well. Yeah, looking good. Both of them getting the favorable RNG.
Yeah, and Wasabi will be making his way into the Aspid Arena here, and we'll see if he can get the double spike kill. Gets a single spike kill, which is still fine. You don't lose that much time as long as you get at least one of them with the spike.
Thunder doing a fairly clean save there, back up.
Yeah. And it looks like at this point, Wasabi is about 12 seconds ahead of Thunder.
Thunder getting a clutch pogo there. Getting hit by the Vengefly, but still making it up.
Yeah, a good recovery from him. Coming up to False Knight here, we'll see the first bit of RNG that really affects him. And that'll be False Knight can save or lose 2 or 3 seconds, depending on whether or not he jumps forward towards you or backwards away from you. Wasabi gets good False Knight RNG here.
Also really well on the execution side. Same as Thunder.
Yeah, it's always good to see the runners synced up on RNG in these runs.
Definitely.
We see Wasabi miss a little jump onto that platform on his way into mound. It's pretty common to see just because runners are always trying to perfect their jumps so that they spend as little time in the air above the platform as possible, and sometimes you just cut off a little bit too much. Going into VS, it looks like Thunder is now only 4 seconds behind.
Yeah, they are really close now. So with some Baldur RNG shenanigans, we might actually see Thunder going out ahead out of the mount. But of course we hope that they will both get first split. Oh, sorry, yeah, 20 splits, because comms curse. But...
yeah, coming up is everybody's least favorite bit of RNG, except maybe Umu, and that is the Baldur spits. It's 1.5 seconds approximately for every Baldur spit that is not a Baldur, so runners can save or lose a lot of time here on each other depending on the luck.
Wasabi getting second spit. That's still fairly decent at a 50-50 chance. And Thunder getting first spit. Though I'd like to point out that if they had gotten something like a really high spit count, then they can pride themselves for tournament record. So it's not all lost if you get high spit count.
Yeah, you want either first spit or like 15th spit.
Yeah.
Nothing in between. Now, Wolf runners will be making their way up through this room here on their way to Green Path, and they need to get 6 hits of Soul so that they can kill the Baldur in this room coming up using a little glitch. that stops the fireball on an invisible wall right next to the water. And then also have soul left over to do a fireball skip.
Oh, I didn't know that that was actually the reason why you could do the skip. I thought it just had to do with like the game lagging out the fireball off screen, but that's interesting to know. Oh, Wasabi falling down here, unfortunately, and has to run the long way back.
And that'll just about sync the runners up. Looks like Wasabi's still ahead by about 2 seconds, but it is looking very close.
Yeah, I think it's actually really close because Thunder's timer is also 2 seconds ahead. But yeah, they seem to have about a 4-second difference right now.
Thunder's opting to stop and get a little bit of extra soul from the birds.
Yeah, very respectable choice.
Safety.
Because the upcoming skip does require some precision, and Thunder gets it first try. Really nice to see. Wasabi gets the backup really cleanly.
And they're just about synced up after Wasabi misses that fireball skip once and gets the backup. Ooh, and Wasabi takes an unfortunate dunk in the acid.
And gets hit again by the moss charger. That's really unfortunate.
And we see our third and final fireball skip from Thunder, done perfectly.
Yeah, that one's actually deceptively difficult. I think it's the tightest one out of the 3 green path fireball skips.
It's the tightest one on the opening jump. It's like the least tight out of the actual distance you have to make. But if you bonk your head on the platform, you can't make it, so your jump has to be really light.
And next up is our beloved Zod, who we skip in this run because we get the Geo from the Moss Knights instead, and the Fungal Geo Rocks, unlike in any percent where we will kill the Vengefly King.
Yeah, since we need a lot more Geo early here, we opt to go for the Moss Knights and the Geo Rocks down here instead, because they give us 170 as opposed to like the 60 or so that the Vengefly King gives. And all skills on like every other category does not sell relics to Lem, so this early game Geo collection is very important.
Yeah. And both runners doing a fairly clean Moss Knights here. You like to see it. And entering Hornet at the same time. That's really nice.
Yeah. While we're still kind of on the topic of Geo, it's worth noting that both runners are looking to have a very comfortable amount of Geo going in. Anything over 300 is pretty safe going into this Hornet fight. And they both have 15 or so over that. Seeing a little bit of danger from Thunder, but he elects to heal.
Yeah.
Probably wise
Very
move.
respectable. You don't want to die in a race.
No, you do not want to die to Hornet in a race. The race I commented earlier this morning, Therist died to Hornet, unfortunately. And it cost him the race just about.
Yeah, I think that's one of the longest run backs you can have in the game. Back from Mound to Hornet.
It's about 3.5 minutes, I think.
I think it's even worse than running back from Crystal Peaks. So, which already is a really bad run back.
So both runners will now be making their way over to Mantis Claw. We'll see some nice inventory drops from them. Just saving a little bit of time with each one. This will be a mostly movement split. And then we'll make our way to the Explosion Pogo and Mantis Pogo, 2 little speed tricks that save a decent bit of time for the runners.
And Thunder is about 10 seconds behind Wasabi right now, so still really close for beginning the Mantis Claw split. So
See both runners making it through the fungal waste pretty cleanly. Couple misfalls, but overall no big acid dunks. Coming up in one of the next rooms, we'll see Wasabi get a little bit more geo from the geo rocks, as well as a couple of the mushrooms in the fungal waste here. And this is a geo collection spot is actually exclusive to all skills. No other category gets it, I believe.
Yeah, at least I haven't seen any.
Wasabi will be setting up ePogo.
Gets it first try, really nice. So, in ePogo you actually pogo the spore once and then the explosion a second time, which only works on this patch. In current patch you can only pogo the spore, and Thunder also gets it first try.
Yeah. Both runners will be going for the Mantis Pogo now that you just saw Wasabi do. When your setup doesn't work out perfectly, it can become a little scary as the Mantises will be out of sync and you kind of need to just wane your way up there. But Wasabi did a great job of that. Thunder seems to be struggling just a little bit and elects to just go around rather than waste more time trying to figure it out. Missing the Mantis Pogo there will probably cost him about like 15 seconds or so. So nothing huge, but not something he wanted to lose.
It's a bit unfortunate when it happens, but luckily it's nowhere the time loss you would look at if you fall down like a tall room in Kingdom's Edge or something. Don't ask me why that comes to mind, but
so both runners here will be making their way towards Shaman Stone and the Blue Lake Shade Skip. We're going to see some nice movement from both of them, hopefully, as they just dash over there, trying to get a little bit of soul on the way. They want to have 6 hits when they enter the Grozmother room, so that they can do the quick kill on.
Wasabi heading into the fight. Doing it really cleanly. Let's hope for a good cleanup as well.
Two Grozers managed to get away from Wasabi in the cleanup, and one of them really gives him a bit of trouble, but he gets it done. And we'll go to buy Shamans.
Thunder having a bit less favorable RNG on Grozmother. Could still get a good cleanup if he's lucky.
Yeah, good cleanup here. We'll save him probably 3-4 seconds on Wasabi.
Yeah. That was just a bit too high on the second fireball, but otherwise fairly clean. Yeah.
We see Wasabi take an unfortunate death here to the
just died.
Yeah, that's probably going to cost him a lot of time.
Yeah, I would think something like -5 minutes. Oh, it gets a fireball, that's unfortunate, but gets it first try on the pogo.
But in all seriousness, for anyone who's not familiar with Hollow Knight, that death is intentional, and it is to do a shade skip, which is a little trick where we use the shade that spawns when we die to pogo to a higher area than we could normally reach.
Yeah. And it's used in almost all categories, I would say. Just because getting early right side access just does so much for you. You can skip a big part of the usual progression route. Incidentally, do you happen to know how much time it saves compared to the other like ways you can go to Right Side City?
Oh gosh, I have no idea. That's a whole routing puzzle.
Because I know like you can't just go through Crystal Peak because the shortcut from resting grounds that you fall into to Right Side City isn't actually unlocked if you go from above, so you'd still very much have to unlock it for right side access. So I think that the intended route would be to go through waterways and collect the key in rafters, or buy one from Sly. But that takes a long time to get, and
I believe current patch All Skills has actually worked on a reroute that goes left side city first and then through waterways like that. But current patch All Skills is a decent bit slower than 1221 All Skills. So the viability of that suggests that there's at least a few minutes of time difference done optimally.
And here we can see Wasabi going into the gorgeous husk room. We'll drop a very blazing amount of geo, which we will need for the dash slash split coming up very shortly, which is the most expensive part of the run, and because we get it so early for all of the Lego skips we are doing, it's quite an important part of the geo route that we can manage to get 800 geo that quickly.
And you notice that Wasabi still does not have quite 800 geo. You'll pick up the rest from a couple rows of hoppers on the way to dash slash here. There are 2 rows of hoppers, and each one drops 48 geo, each row, not each hopper. So runners, as long as they have at least 704 by the time they enter Kingdom's Edge here, they are good enough to get dash slash.
And I think both runners should be very comfy in terms of geo. Thunder just being about 10 geo lower than Wasabi, but they're both
yeah, they're both extremely comfy on geo.
Well over what they need, so Wasabi can actually yeah, not kill the last hopper, but goes for it anyway.
Yeah, getting a bit more than 800 geo here can definitely always be useful, because you will need to have 300 by the time you leave Soul Sanctum on your way to Crystal Peaks in about 10 minutes, I think. And that can be a bit of a struggle to get if you get bad RNG, so it is safe to get that extra geo.
Yeah, definitely can't hurt.
Wasabi will pick up dash slash here. The reason we need to get dash slash so early, of course, is that it is used for lever skips, which are a 1221 exclusive feature where nail arts, as well as just your normal nail, can go through walls to hit levers. And that'll allow us to skip some rooms in Sanctum, get Shade Soul early, as well as some other shenanigans throughout the run.
And we see Wasabi quit out here at 15:51. So that looks like Thunder is going to be, I'd say, 25 seconds ahead maybe? Yeah, 25 seconds. Sounds about right, so we'll need to play well in Sanctum here in order to make that back, but since Sanctum's due to the Soul Twister RNG are quite a rough split, it's still anyone's game, I would say.
Yeah, there's a lot of RNG in Sanctum, not only with the Soul Twisters, but also with the boss of the area, Soul Master. You can easily lose upwards of 10 seconds on that fight compared to the optimal RNG pattern if it is not friendly to you. And we will see our first lever skip in this room that Thunder is in currently, and Wasabi has already gone through, where we hit a lever through the ceiling here with just our nail to open up this room, and it stays pitch black because you're not supposed to be able to do that. And the runners just have memorized how to get through there.
It's nice to see both of them getting the lever skip really quickly. It doesn't look too difficult, and it's not if you've practiced it for a bit, but I do see runners mess it up quite regularly because it is deceptively difficult to actually hit the levers through the ceiling while you're trying to evade the sentries.
Yeah, it looked like Wasabi fell on his way into Soul Sanctum, or maybe muscle memory for another route. Regardless, he started going down and had to climb back up a little ways. So Thunder should have gained a bit of time on him there. It looks like they're only about 15 seconds apart now.
Both of them getting an unfortunate ceiling hit while trying to go up to Shade Soul.
Yeah, that movement can be deceptively difficult to do correctly, especially considering that you need to be charging a nail art while you're doing it. So you just have to have a finger on that key or that button, and that can kind of mess your movement up.
Especially if you're playing on controller with default binds, it can be quite difficult to move around properly while holding down the attack button. Since the default keys, at least on the Xbox controller, will require that you press both buttons with your right thumb. And you have to maneuver with the lower part of your thumb while holding it with the upper, which can be kind of awkward. I know for a fact that Wasabi is a keyboard player, because he was actually on Team Keyboard for the Relay Race Marathon. And I don't know what Thunder is playing on. Oh, Wasabi going down to 1 HP here in Sanctum.
Yeah, definitely be nice to see him heal.
Yeah.
And he does.
Not really a comfortable amount of HP going into Soulmaster, unless of course you're an experienced 106 runner, because they do it with Fury all the time. But
yeah, but Wasabi must be confident enough with it if he's willing to do it in a tournament race. We'll see Thunder heal all the way to full.
Yeah.
And he takes damage right away and narrowly dodges one of Soul Master's attacks too.
Yeah, and Wasabi did have to heal there because I think at 1 HP he wasn't as confident after all, which is very understandable.
Yeah, of course. A death here would not be very good. You'd end up all the way back at King Station and have to climb all the way back up. That would be upwards of 2 minutes of time loss.
Either runner could have of course taken the safety bench in Watcher's Spire, but opted not to, of course, because it's a bit slower. I think it might lose 10 seconds easily.
Yeah. At this point, it looks like Thunder is about 15 seconds behind Wasabi. So this is a very close race. Unfortunately, Soul Master hard saves our spawn location, so we can't just quit out to the King Station bench after the fight. Instead, we need to make our way through Soul Sanctum, where Wasabi will demonstrate another lever skip, just to skip a little bit of this room and save a few seconds.
And neither runner went for the dashless storage there, which is always sad to see, but it is quite a bit to keep track of at once. In this case, dashless storage would allow you to charge a nail art early while going into that room, and then cancel it while dashing, so that the next time you dash you'll be able to release it instantly. But we didn't see either runner try, so... Wasabi getting stuck there on the ledge and choosing to go up the elevator Which is a wise choice, because you don't want to get hit on the spikes.
Yeah. And that'll bring the gap down to about 6 seconds. But Wasabi is still in the lead.
Yeah. And neither runner choosing to save the grub. You hate to see it.
Hate to see it. Coming up here, they'll be gathering a little bit more geo before their trip to Kane Station.
You want to go into the room with 270 geo or more, and if not, then you can just fireball the row of fasts there to get above 270. Because coming up, as they leave this room, they will do a descending dart, a dive, through this glass ceiling, and they will collect the remaining 30 geo if they have to. In this case, neither runner really has to, since they were both at a comfy amount of geo. So they only had to collect a little bit.
Yeah, and this will likely be the last point that we discuss geo for the duration of this race, because from now on, geo is very safe. There's not really any bottleneck because of the Watcher Knight's geo chest.
And it looks like Thunder is just about 8 seconds behind Wasabi right now, so up to this point, 23 minutes in, that's really close, I would say. So the next split is definitely one of the roughest in the run in Crystal Peak. Not only because it's extremely cycle dependent and has some fairly challenging movement, but also because the run back, as we mentioned earlier, takes, I think, more than 2 minutes, so you really don't want to die there.
Yeah, it's a long way to go without being able to sit on a bench for health, and there are intentional damage tanks that some runners may elect to do to try and save time. So, very scary.
And it's really easy to do damage tanks even if you don't intend to, just because of how much time it can lose to wait out a full cycle sometimes.
Of course.
I would say that Crystal Peak is definitely one of the parts that you either need to be really practiced at, or it's good to have some backup strats for missed cycles, which is not something that I see a lot of runners be good at, because you don't usually practice backup strats in normal runs. You usually try to go for the optimal cycles, but it's always good to know some alternatives in a race setting when you can't reset.
Yeah, speaking of alternatives, we'll see if either of the runners here elect to give Pog Axe an attempt. Pog Axe is a trick that saves about 3 seconds, where runners pogo off of an axe to get up in this room that we're in currently. Neither runner elects to do it, understandably, because you do lose a lot of time if you miss it. Sad to see still, though.
Yeah, definitely. Though very understandable, because it's definitely more of a swag stat in a race than anything else.
You just saw Thunder run into a little bit of trouble in God Cycle Room, but manages to make it out relatively unscathed.
Yeah, and choosing to wait a little bit here on the cycle. Quite wise choice to not get hit and save the HP for the gauntlet that's coming up in the Crystal Dash room.
Yeah, now we didn't see Pog Axe from either of these runners, but hopefully we will be blessed with at least one Underplat. Underplat being a strat that saves 0.1 seconds if you get it, and loses about 20 if you miss it, is a required strat for all good Hollow Knight speedruns.
Yeah, loses about 20 seconds each time you miss it, so... Oh, Wasabi getting it very cleanly, nice. You like
Get
to
some
see
underplat hype for Wasabi here.
Thunder instead choosing to do the more sensible and safer option and going above the platform, but denying us the content.
Very unfortunate, but you gotta respect people trying to get their race time.
Yeah, definitely. And also 3 HP is definitely something you don't want to gamble on. It's not a bad amount of HP, but with the crushers coming up, which we have seen some really unfortunate races that just almost died to crushers because of things like walking storage or just, yeah, very slight mistimings. And then after that you have the dark room, which Wasabi is entering right now. I wanted to say he's doing really cleanly and then he died, but there are a few strats you can do in that room, and Wasabi is doing the fastest but also most risky strat, which at this point in time I think is no longer the fastest for him now, because he just died 2 times there and now has to go back and collect soul from these crystal hunters.
Yeah, Thunder's taking a safer strat and seems to be getting through much cleaner. Still takes 1 hit of damage, but otherwise looks like he'll make it through.
Yeah, and choosing to heal here. Not the wisest spot to heal, if I may add, because that crystal hunter can still shoot a crystal at you if you're unlucky. Would have probably been better to crystal dash out and then heal while waiting to collect the soul from the totem. Still makes it and goes into crystallized mount at 3 HP.
And we saw Wasabi made it through now too, which is good, but Wasabi is only at 2 HP. And if you want to talk about the HP now.
Oh yeah, I want to say crystallized mount isn't the most difficult part of Crystal Peak for sure. You can basically take everything safe and slow, but it is a part where you want to have at least 2 HP by the time you get to the last crystal, in order to do what we just saw Thunder do, which is an intentional damage tank, in order to get early control after picking up Descending Dark. And Wasabi getting it as well. And leaving at 1 HP, which, yeah, obviously is the minimum amount, so if you have any less than that 2 HP going into the crystal, then you definitely want to avoid muscle memorying into the skip and dying.
Both runners here will go to pick up Dreamnail now, and from there we will head straight to Watcher Knights, which is why we could not bench at all on our trip through Crystal Peaks. Because we will save quit right back to the Spire bench. But before that, we get some Dream platforms, which are some relatively simple platforming, but there's definitely a lot of room for mistakes here, and a mistake on Dream platforms will lose you probably about 8 seconds in most cases, which is very discouraging when it happens.
And we see Thunder give us back our underplat content here.
Yeah, Thunder with the underplat redemption with the Dream platforms underplat.
Wasabi choosing to go a bit safer. Understandable, to be honest. Falling in Dream platforms is about the biggest meme when it comes to feeling safe and then messing up, because it's deceptively difficult, given that you should know how the room works. It's 100% consistent, but then race nerfs are a thing, and yeah.
Yeah, falling on dream platforms might not hurt the knight, but it will hurt your soul.
That's true.
So both runners here will be making their way to Watcher Knights. Watcher Knights notably easier in this category than in any percent, where they are famously difficult for new runners. But they're still difficult in the sense that to do them optimally, you have to adapt to their RNG very quickly, as well as make sure not to damage tank too much and accidentally get yourself killed, as I often do.
And Thunder getting a bit unfortunate RNG here on the first knight rolling instantly, but cleans it up very, very nicely.
Yeah, Thunder's getting a lot of unfortunate roll RNG here. The Knights really don't want to stay together for him. It looks like he'll finish up the second set.
Wasabi getting a bit better RNG on the first set of knights. Cleaning them up very nicely.
Yeah, Wasabi's definitely picking up a little bit of time on Thunder and Watcher Knights so far, but the second set of Knights are giving Wasabi a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, definitely.
And are evening it out, for sure.
But he gets them very nicely. Well saved. And I do think that Wasabi, yeah, will still be ahead after this, for sure.
Yeah, but don't count anyone as victor yet, because coming up is the Isma's skips, the notoriously problematic set of skips in these all skills races, where many runners have ran into issues.
Yeah. So the skip that is coming up shortly involves pogoing a set of spikes and then immediately dashing to the left. Usually you can go to the right, but it's a lot more difficult, and you'll either have to do an air stall using fireball or something like dash slash, which is, I would say it's preference, but I definitely think it's a bit more difficult to do it without the setup where you can just slide off the wall. I think I will just leave that part of the commentary for when we get there.
Yeah. Exiting Illyrian, both runners are 26 seconds apart, with Wasabi in the lead. So this is definitely anyone's race. Even if no one dies at the Isma skips, if Wasabi just takes a few more hits, then it could definitely be bad for him.
Wasabi getting a really weird camera movement here, but managing to time it pretty well, even still.
Yeah, elevators in this game are notoriously glitchy. Hashtag legalized elevator. And we saw some of that glitch on Wasabi's screen.
And here we can see the setup that I talked about. We slide down that wall and then we try to jump at the last second, and Thunder gets it first try.
Second try.
Sorry, I meant second try.
Wasabi's struggling a little bit. Hopefully he'll get it in this next attempt or two. Otherwise it could look really scary for him.
Yeah, definitely. Gets it. Nice.
So on his fourth attempt, unfortunately had to spend some soul to heal there. And that could lead to issues over here with these worms. But Wasabi decides to get him out of the way.
That's really low. asset skip, and he just about doesn't make it out the other side.
Yeah, and Thunder has already made it through his other 2 Isma skips faster than we could commentate it, and is now going to make his way towards Monarch Wings and Broken Vessel. Very clean from Thunder. He'll definitely pick up some time on Wasabi there, and that might be the difference between the lead. If not, it'll definitely be close.
Yeah, I think it might actually be... well, I don't know if Wasabi lost the full 26 seconds of lead he had here, but it's definitely going to be quite close now.
Notably also is that Wasabi is leaving this room at 2 masks, which should hopefully be safe for him, but if he gets really a bad RNG on the C-dash past the flying husks, or Ravas as some people call them, it could get dangerous.
Yeah, he did get bad RNG, but he immediately stopped his crystal dash, which is a wise choice. On the first cast, unfortunately, but yeah, he is now 7 seconds behind Thunder, actually, so... going into the Ancient Basin.
Yeah, so we have a change of lead now for the first time in the 34 minutes of this race. Very exciting to see.
Yeah, definitely. And Wasabi accidentally cancelling the tall dialogue option. Very sad, but you do have to give it to these runners that they have been playing really cleanly so far for the fact that this is a race setting, and in a race setting your nerves will usually play tricks on you. As we just saw here again with Wasabi forgetting to cancel his C-dash into that room.
Yeah, Thunder is entering the Broken Vessel fight right here, which is not going to be too scary with 5 masks, Descending Dark and Shade Soul, but is still definitely somewhere where things can go wrong, especially if you're entering with less than 5 masks because the Maulers were mean to you and you elected not to heal.
As Wasabi did there, choosing to get some soul from these orange balloons. I don't know what they're actually called in the game, but which is a bit of an unusual strat. Most people will actually dream near the Moloch there instead, but it seems that for Wasabi it was just about getting enough soul to start the fight and not really trying to heal for.
Yeah, and Wasabi, hopefully being a fairly experienced runner, should be safe at 3 masks.
Yeah, 2 masks now, but...
Takes damage as I say that.
Still, I don't expect Wasabi to die here, but yeah, definitely gets the Broken Vessel fairly cleanly, as I say that. I would say both of these runners are quite experienced. Wasabi, having started the game almost a year ago with actually a fairly rare category or set of categories for Hollow Knight, which is at the time was an all glitches run, and now it's called no main menu storage run. So it's always nice to see some glitch runners. And Thunder, having, I believe, run any percent before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that coming out of Basin here, it looks like the runners are just about tied up. So this is looking like it's going to be a very close race. It'll be interesting to see if we see any safety bench strats before Hornet considering that, or if the runners decide it's worth the risk. Take the 15 seconds of time save and not.
I would expect that they are both confident in their Hornet too, but it's definitely very understandable to take a safety bench beforehand, because running back will mean that you are going to be going from the Ancient Basin bench, which will take quite a bit of time, because then you have to ring the stack bell again and go all the way back through Kingdom's Edge. So yeah, Thunder taking the safety bench here.
And this loses probably about 15 seconds, maybe a little bit less than that. So it's not a significant time loss, but in a race this close, it could be the difference if Wasabi decides not to.
And Thunder just
the Hornet fight.
Starting the Hornet fight, and Wasabi choosing to not go for the bench and take the 15 seconds of time save for a slightly riskier experience in the fight.
And Thunder seems to be playing the fight fairly safe, and has not taken any damage so far. See a nice Shade Soul double on Hornet from him there, which will be the goal of the runners during the fight.
You want to get as many Shade Soul doubles as possible, or you want to get the Needle Throw attack a lot, because you can actually Descending Dark during the Needle Throw attack, which is technically your optimal damage output, doing 8 more damage than a double Shade Soul, but being otherwise fairly hard to hit on Hornet 2 as she's moving around so much. And Thunder getting down to 1 HP here. Choosing to heal and gets...
Oh my gosh. Heals just in time to not die.
It's really unfortunate. Let's hope he makes it. Oh, he makes it really nice. Only 1 Shade Soul was left.
Wasabi is also at 1 mask. Notably a little bit earlier in the fight, I think. Oh, never mind.
Just gets it clutch.
Both runners giving us heart attacks on Hornet here.
Yeah.
And choosing not to pick the safety bench will put Wasabi in the lead here by what looks like 30 seconds or so.
Yeah. I also think he had a bit more aggressive and thus faster Hornet fight, which did, in the end, play out in his favor. Although it was, I wouldn't say it was clutch, it was only a bit of damage left on Hornet, but this could very well also have turned the other way for him if he hadn't been playing this well or a bit less carefully. So definitely always nice to see runners go for risky strats and it paying out for them.
Yeah. Choosing to go for risky things in races like this really speaks to runners' confidence, because normally when for speedrunners it's, oh, I died, I reset the run, no big deal. But when you die in a race, you lose 3 minutes and have to keep going and probably lose the race. So there's a lot of difficult mentality hurdles that you need to get over in order to go for some of the riskier things in a race setting. Both runners here will be making their way towards Cyclone Slash, which is the second of the 3 nail arts that we will obtain in this run. Cyclone Slash, notably, is going to be useful for going down while also moving to the left or right a little bit in place of an inventory drop, which will only drop you straight down. as well as useful for getting soul in some situations, among other things. But we won't see much use of it for that purpose in this run, most likely.
Yeah. It's also an interesting fact that not too many people know about, that Cyclone Slash is technically the highest damaging attack in the game if you do it with a pure nail, and I guess also Fury of the Fallen if you want, but because you can keep inputting attack as you cyclone, it will chain the cyclone for up to, I think, 7 hits, and each hit deals 1.25 times your nail damage, so...
Yeah, unfortunately we don't get any nail upgrades in this run, and we are forced to get spell upgrades because of the category, so we don't see much use of nail art in combat.
Yeah, that's true.
Bam. Finnen.
And it looks like Wasabi is about 23 seconds or 22 seconds ahead, going out of Cyclone Slash, so... Still, at 42 minutes in, this is a really close race.
Yeah, and it really could come down to something like Umu here, where the difference between a 1 and a 2 cycle is about 20 seconds. So if Thunder's able to get a 1 cycle here, and Wasabi gets a 2, or even if Thunder gets a 2 and Wasabi gets a 3, that'll tie the runners up, more or less. So it'll be interesting to see how each runner plays Umu.
Yeah. And though I don't wish either runner bad Umu RNG, it would definitely be nice to see them close in on each other. But let's hope that they both get good RNG and that it comes down to execution more. And I would say that execution in the Umu fight is still a big factor, probably quite a bit bigger than RNG, unless you're really good on both ends. Because just getting the 1 cycle takes a fair amount of practice. And you can save a missed 1 cycle and get a 2 cycle instead. But it's actually surprisingly easy to miss the 2 cycle if you missed the 1 cycle before. So...
Yeah, and it is worth noting that even with bad RNG, the 1 cycle is still possible, but is much more difficult, and a lot of runners don't have very sufficient practice in it because it's just kind of a hard thing to practice.
Yeah, for sure. Also, we saw Thunder take the bench, and Wasabi chose not to, which means that he's going into this fight with 3 masks less than Thunder. And Thunder going for the 1 cycle setup but missing it.
Yeah, it looks like Wasabi will just go for a 2 cycle here, which is looking a little bit scary.
Yeah. Get 1 mask. And missing his next screen there just as Thunder did. Oh, Wasabi, that was too close for comfort.
Yes, it very much was. Without a bench here, this is looking very scary for Wasabi, but Wasabi does manage to clean up Umu for the quick 2 cycle.
Yeah, really nice. I
And
didn't
we'll
actually see how many cycles Thunder got, but I think it was also 2.
Yeah, Thunder also got a 2 cycle. So Wasabi will stay in the lead here. It's still about a 30-second difference. But this is still very much anybody's race.
For sure, yeah. Wasabi writing in chat during cutscenes or pickup text for the 2nd time now, saying the same thing he said during Hornet 2. he will bench at a boss once he has died there, which is a mindset that is very respectable, although usually when it comes to that, then you would probably like to have benched at the boss beforehand rather than afterwards. So.
Yeah, but I definitely respect the confidence in your
I do too.
survivability to be able to do that in a race setting.
It's nice if runners choose to go for the content instead of taking it slow, but I would definitely not blame any runner for taking it slow in a race setting, because especially when you don't know if you will make it for sure, it's doesn't feel great if you do die and you didn't go safe when you could have, and you lose 2 minutes because of that.
Yeah, and now we're seeing Thunder make what is probably one of my favorite rooms in the game, is this nice climb up a Fog Canyon here. The movement's just very clean when done correctly, and you see some very interesting wall jumps and pogos. Wolf runners decide to go for relatively safe versions of it.
Yeah.
And we'll make it through kind of cleanly. Notably, though, Thunder is at 2 masks, which could put him in trouble, but will likely not, as there's not too much opportunity for damage here.
It's possible to mess up the Great Slash room if you aren't careful, but at least given that Thunder seems to be quite experienced, I wouldn't expect him to die here. Neither runner choosing to go for the airwalk attempt and instead playing it a bit safer, while going into the room before. But yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if Thunder plays this Great Slash room safer because of his low health. Now it looks like he kind of takes it slow, yeah. Wasabi, on the other hand, goes for the fast cycle on those Duran dudes and gets it.
Very nice. And remembers to cancel his crystal dash before going into the transition, which we've seen a couple of times during this tournament. Runners forget to do that and then take a bath in the thorns in the next room.
Yeah, it's a very trolly move by Team Cherry to leave those thorns there. It looks like Wasabi is 32 seconds ahead at the Great Slash quit out.
And it's nice to see like a fairly synced up quit out, even though the timers are about half a minute apart, because that does compare nicely for the viewers to see both runners moving just about in sync.
Yeah.
Upcoming is the Howling Wraiths split, which can be a bit trolly because the split arena, while the spawn positions for the splits or squids are set, their movement is not, and it's quite RNG dependent, and so this room comes down to execution quite a bit. You can easily lose 10 seconds here if you're unlucky and you miss a fireball, or a squid just decides to fly into an off corner of the room while you don't have soul. So
yeah, we see a pretty clean room from Thunder. I would like to make a correction that the squids are actually not RNG based. They just consistently fly straight towards you, so even small differences in movement can throw them a lot off cycle and make them hard to react to.
Wasabi getting down to 1 HP.
Oh no!
Ooh, taking an unfortunate death. That's really sad to see. That will, if there are no more slip-ups from Thunder, that might cost Wasabi the race.
Yeah. Now, as far as places to die go, Wasabi won't lose that much time dying there, but will still probably not be in the lead after that.
Yeah.
I'd assume Thunder would be ahead by probably like 10 or 15 seconds, assuming
Yeah.
Wasabi recovers well.
Sounds about right, and it's good for Wasabi that he was in the lead before with, I think, 36 seconds. So there's still a chance for him to make this back.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yes.
still anybody's race. But it definitely tips it in Thunder's favor.
Yeah. And it's quite unfortunate to see runners die at a part like this, but as I said, this arena can be deceptively difficult. Oh, and it looks like Wasabi did kill the last bit in the arena before he died, so he doesn't have to do it again, which should play out in his favor, because it's just a bit of time that he doesn't have to redo.
Yeah, that should result in the runners being remarkably close in time, actually. I'd be surprised if the gap was any larger than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Wasabi actually managed to clear the arena, but got killed by a spit from outside that flew in just a little bit afterwards. Thunder makes his way through Dark Deep Nest here. One of the notable features of all skills is that we do not get Lantern, so have to do dark rooms like the one in Sea Peaks and these rooms in Dark Deep Nest. They're not particularly challenging once they're practiced, but they are certainly intimidating for new runners, and if you do happen to make a mistake, there's a lot of punishment since you're always spawned at the start of the room, regardless of where you get hit in a spike.
Yeah, which is a really unfortunate feature for speedrunners. It is a very nice safety feature by Team Cherry for casual players who happen to stumble into dark rooms and decide to try their luck and then get stuck. So there's legitimate reason to respawn you at the beginning, but for speedrunners it's just a bit unfortunate if they have any slip-ups.
It's worth noting that we did forget to mention, or fail to mention, that Wasabi and Thunder both went for underplat on the Thorns Warp, which is an extremely difficult trick, and it looks like Thunder got it and Wasabi did not, if I recall correctly. So props to both of them for even risking that.
Definitely, and also I think it saves less than a second, so it's entirely a swag strat. And Wasabi is quite a bit more behind than we thought. Looks like about 40 seconds, maybe a bit more. I think. Oh, and does take a spike dunk in Dark Deep Nest, chooses to go back and reload the room in order to unload the Weaverlings. Very understandable.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be tough to tell. It's looking more and more in Thunder's favor, though, as this goes on, because the run is, in fact, coming to a close. All we have left for Thunder now is to get Abyss Shriek and Shade Cloak in the Abyss, and then fight THK.
Yeah, it looks like Wasabi's actually a whole minute ahead behind now, so... Unless Thunder dies to Sibling Climb, or gets really unfortunate THK RNG, this race will probably turn out in his favor, though I don't want to make any final statements.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that the chat has informed me that Thunder is currently 20 seconds ahead of his PB. So that's always exciting, but it might also be putting some extra pressure on him if he's aware of it.
Yeah, definitely.
So Wasabi does make his way through Dark Deep Nest after a good bit of trouble. Finally manages to make it through, and will go pick up Hera.
And both runners actually in Beast then miss the jump up through the ceiling the first time around. Which is a nice Easter egg that Team Cherry put there. So that experienced runners don't have to go do the trap bench. I would say that it's probably not intended to be found on your first playthrough, because it's such a hidden entrance and you can't even reach it. If you go through Beast in the normal way, you actually have to come in through the ceiling, and you won't ever find this shortcut unless you avoid the trap bench the first time, or you come back later to check out the room. But
Since he is ahead, we're going to switch to Thundar's audio now, as he makes his way through the abyss. And we'll see Thunder perform a quit out as soon as he enters the little spring for Shade Soul, or Shade Cloak, I mean. And that just saves the time of the animation and allows you to get better like control. At this point, this is definitely looking like Thundar's race. The only real risky places Thunder has to lose time here are if he takes a risky abyss climb and against THK. Neither of which are impossible to struggle with, but both of which we wouldn't expect from him.
we're getting a bit streak here. No, Wasabi is entering the abyss.
Yeah, an Abyss Shriek is notably the most powerful spell in the game, but since Howling Wraiths is in such a weird spot for routing, it isn't really possible to get ahead of time before like the end of a run in all skills or really any other category except maybe 112%. But we will use it against THK here. And to do so, runners need to get very close to him, which is where we'll see some issues where THK parries or dashes at the wrong time. Runners can kind of be screwed out of damage and health.
I'd like to say it is nice to have the runners be a bit out of sync for the Abyss climb, so we can actually look at the timers separately. Thunder doing a bit more safe Abyss climb, which, if he knows he's a minute ahead, is definitely a respectable choice. Because getting hazard respawn in Abyss climb will sometimes put you quite a bit below where you were before, and so taking it safe is oh, it looks like that was just about a 50-second Abyss climb from Thunder, which is respectable in a race.
Yeah, the Abyss Climb's notably one of those areas where if you take risky strats, you can save little bits of time at like just about every jump.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to see just how clean and the flow of high-level Abyss climbs. Be interesting to see what Wasabi does.
We just got a new world record, I think. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? After 2 Path of Pain runners had actually started doing Abyss Climb. The 2 people who are in rank 1 and 2 of Path of Pain, Shai and Kalaski, have both started doing Abyss Climb and getting really competitive times right off the bat, and then Monstera maybe just because his interest was sparked again, or maybe in fear of losing his #1 spot. I don't know, but did a sub 30-second Abyss Climb, which is really insane. But that does show you, with Thunder having 50 seconds, but you only lose about 20 seconds going safer, so for Thunder it's still very much a smart idea to do that.
And Thunder will begin fighting the Hollow Knight now, is notably getting a very large amount of dashes. Is handling the fight pretty well. Playing fairly safe, but that is understandable, knowing that he's ahead.
Well, Wasabi is doing a bit plan. Choosing to go for a bit more risky strats.
Yeah, and there we can see the risk of risky strats in the Abyss Climb, and that this hazard respawn is spawning them so far away from the spike set.
I do appreciate his dedication for this particular part of the Abyss Climb, because it's definitely the most difficult split, but after missing it 3 or 4 times, he decides to go around, which is very understandable. He goes for the fire range. That's fun, especially because he has plenty of effect in that, which Thunder just finished. Very nice. 59, 29.
And that will be a PB for him, if I understand
that's
correctly.
Really nice.
So huge GG's to Thunder right there. The 19-second PB according to the chat.
It's always really nice to see in a race that
Yeah, race PBs are always hype because not only did the runner have to play better than they normally do, they had to play better than they normally do under the pressure of a race, which is extremely commendable.
Yeah, definitely. And we will be seeing Wasabi wants to go for the Dirtmouth bench. I think changes his mind. Will probably go for the Black Egg bench, at least I hope so, because THK at 2 masks is not the most comfortable spot you want to be in. Just about to enter the Black Egg and choosing to give us the content of Helicopter Knight. Very nice.
We appreciate it, Wasabi. Helicopter Knight always earns bonus points.
Yeah, that's definitely at least a minute time save for Wasabi that I would give to him here. So now actually looking competitive against Thunder again.
Yeah, but as Wasabi was helicoptering, we just saw his timer pass Thunder's, meaning that Thunder has now officially won the race.
And Wasabi actually choosing to go into THK at 2 masks, which... Okay, well, he heals before.
Yeah, it's notable that Wasabi's computer does some weird things to the background of the Black Egg Temple, and we get this really cool blue and purple background in the fight.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I've never seen that before, actually. I've seen instances of invisible THK before, but not that.
Yeah, I believe this background is exclusive to Wasabi. I don't think we have any other like appearances of it in the community.
That's interesting. It does give a nice view of the change that you usually don't see that well. And Wasabi getting down to 1 HP and
Oh no.
unfortunately getting hit. I would assume that he knew what he was doing when he went into the fight at 2 HP and definitely, I think, was aware that he had lost the race, so I think he was just a bit more chill about his odds. And
Yeah, I definitely respect Wasabi for going for the fastest time possible, even knowing the race was over. Unfortunately, THK at 2 mask leaves a lot of room for error, or very little room for error, I should say.
also a really clean shadow dash right there from Wasabi. Dashing into the same direction as THK did and still avoiding the damage is, I would say, a somewhat precise trick that I always like seeing runners go for. I personally wouldn't attempt it because I don't feel confident in it, but and Wasabi finishing out THK right here with a beautiful blue background.
Yeah, and that looks like it should end up at about a 102.29, putting Wasabi about 3 minutes behind Thunder due to those unfortunate deaths.
Yeah, and that's almost exactly 3 minutes.
All right, so now we will just be waiting for both runners to join in the Discord, and we will conduct our post-match interview. So stay tuned for that. Looks like Wasabi might need an invite, and I will get that to him now.
Alright.
Oh, never mind. Wasabi was able to get in.
That's good.
Oh, holy fudge! That race was fun.
Hello, Wasabi, you're a bit on the quiet side.
I'm really during that. Oh, you're off.
We got him. I can hear him.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a really close race all the way up until the
Oh
end.
my god. I would have had to actually play within like 30 seconds of PB to beat Thundar there. That's crazy. Thundar, you had a crazy run.
I don't even, thank you. I don't even know what was going on. I was just hoping for the best and nearly had a heart attack during Hornet too. I somehow just thread the needle on that one. Somehow.
I was perfectly calm on my Hornet too. No nerves at all. No, I don't know. I told my chat that if I lose a PB pace to Hornet 2, I'll start benching there. But until then, probably not. But so I decided not to bench, and yeah, I was 1 HP as well. I was watching your race. It was pretty fun to see us both get to that last number there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly 3 minutes apart. 29
Oh.
seconds. What are the odds?
Hornet 2 was definitely a wise choice by you.
I would normally have benched at Hollow Knight, but I knew the race was already over, so I just decided, I was like, you know what, we'll just keep up with the theme of not benching, because why not? And I wanted to see if I could do it on 3 HP. Not advisable. Not advisable.
I respect the confidence to attempt it. You certainly got close.
Oh, and I also wanted to show off that triple spike pogo in the abyss, but couldn't get it.
Well, you did give us the content of showing it off.
Oh, actually, I can't hear April at all. What is going? Hold on.
Oh, wait.
Has April been talking?
I can turn myself up again.
Okay.
Is
Yeah.
that better? Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
No, I was just saying I do appreciate the content of you going for the triple spike pogo several times.
Now, speaking of content, we had 2 underplats from each runner. Notably, the spike warp underplat from each of you. Did you guys plan doing that in advance, or did you both decide to do it, since it is kind of a rare strat to see attempted?
I had never done it before intentionally. I apparently accidentally did it in my race against Insomnia, and I saw Thunder do it, and I saw chat call it out, and I was like, well, now I gotta follow up. If I'm like, I was pretty sure I had lost at that point, just due to that unfortunate death at the race arena. I was pretty sure I had lost already, so I was just like, I gotta follow up on this underplat and see if I can get it. And yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I was just doing it because swag.
Swag.
If I didn't have to have my hands on the controller, I would have dabbed as well. And really just ended my run right there, apparently.
I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you PB'd. That was insane. It was an insane run.
I feel like you should win off of getting helicopter night. I was really happy when I saw that in stream. I was so happy.
Oh, that was another thing I hadn't done outside of I practiced it exactly once. Oh man, that was super fun. I honestly did not like. I told somebody like if my race is as close. Who was it? It was Sylvie. Or no, Insomnia? Yeah, it was Insomnia. I said, if my race is as close as yours, I'm going to have a heart attack. And at some points, it really was that close. Like we weren't that far apart for most of the race. It was very back and forth.
You know, you guys were tied at multiple points and were no more than 30 seconds apart for the large majority of the race. It was very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely the death at Holding Wraith that turned the race around in Thunder's favor. But up to that point, Wasabi was mostly in the lead, but never by more than 20 to 30 seconds, and sometimes going as close as 4 seconds, which was really nice to see.
Yeah. Man, I was so glad to survive so many 1 HP situations on Hornet, on leaving Isma's tier, on Umu. And only to die to Wraith's arena, like what? Oh well.
Yeah, and that death really caught me off guard. You got killed by one of the squits from outside the arena, if I saw it correctly.
I mean, apparently I had killed all the other squits.
Yeah.
Like I was able to walk through the arena and not kill anything on the second time through, and I was like, wait, I don't have to redo the arena? I'm so confused.
You know, I thought you were done. I was just about to say, oh, Wasabi just barely makes it out of the race arena, and then you got hit, and I was very confused.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, you live and you learn.
Yeah, but well played, both of you. And huge congrats on the PB, Thunder.
Thank you. I want to see that sub hour, Wasabi. I believe in you.
Oh, I have sub hour.
Oh. I guess the word updated. I haven't looked yet, so my bad.
No, it's all right. That's why I had honestly gone into this race hoping that Thundar would be a little bit slower because I knew he didn't have sub hour. And then somebody, Slorin, I think, posted at the beginning. He's like, Thundar got sub hour this morning. I'm like, well, that's not what I wanted to hear. I was like.
Actually, I think your PBs are about the same amount of time apart now that you were for most of the race. So I think it's 31 seconds apart.
Yeah. I actually have no idea. I don't know if I can open up my splits right now.
Also nice to see the trade for Underplat. Wasabi went for Underplat in Crystal Peak, and Thunder chose not to. But then Thunder gave us the Dream Underplats. So you're both even now.
Damn. I was not nearly as far. I thought I was doing pretty good up until Rates Arena, but apparently it was not really close to PB pace at all. Not at all.
Yeah, it's
Still
always
really
hard to
good, right?
tell in a race format in that kind of setting without your live split on the screen how far ahead you are. or
Yeah.
behind.
I'm glad I wasn't looking. I would have been a little bit sad to know I was like behind already at Soul Sanctum. I was like, "What?" Oh well. Thank you, comms, and thank you, chat. It was really nice seeing a lot of my friends in the chat supporting me. And it was really nice to have you two calming.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was an absolute pleasure.
It was a really enjoyable race to comment.
Yeah, it really was. And thanks for putting on that awesome race for us. I guess, is there any last things you guys would like to say before we end off this interview?
Yeah, just thank you, Wasabi. Huge GGs. That was. I will have to watch the VOD later to see everything.
Oh
So
yeah, I'll
I'm
definitely
looking
watch
forward
that
to
back.
it. Big GGs to you, and thank you, Speed Gaming and everyone in comms for having this match.
Yeah, I think I thanked everyone else, but thank you,
Yeah.
Thundar, for being an honorable opponent. Fun to race against you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming by for the interview, guys. Thanks for putting on an awesome race. Thank you to
both.
Apromat for being an awesome co-com for me,
Thank you,
and thank
Spicy.
you to chat for being a bunch of cuties.
Yeah, I definitely second that.
We will wrap up here for tonight. I'm not sure. Is this the last match tonight, or is there one more? I will get that real quick.
Yeah, I think there's actually there should be one that started an hour ago. So
Yeah, one started at 9 o'clock on Speed Gaming 4, if you want to check that out.
Lucario versus Insomnia. I
Yeah.
believe that's current patch. Yeah.
That is. So thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you had a great time.
And thank you again, Spicy. That was a really nice introduction to the commentary game.
Yeah, you did a
It was
great
really
job.
fun to co-com with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being a great co-com. We're going to end that here. Have a nice night, everybody.
Yeah. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.